All right, so again, today we are doing section 0.3. This is factoring trinomials when a is not equal to 1, okay? Yesterday we discussed the x method. I will just kind of write it down again really quick just for you guys. So the x method, and we'll do it kind of quickly. You're going to be given a function that looks something similar to this, where a, b, and c are numbers, right? So you're going to have like a equal to some number, b is equal to some number, and c is equal to some number. Okay, those are called your coefficients. All right. Now, what you're supposed to do if you're going to factor something like this, you're going to write, whoops, sorry about that. You're going to write out a big X here. And I know if some of you guys like to use the box method, it's fine. You can utilize that if you want. But on the very top of this thing, you are going to write down the product of A times C. Whatever A times C is, that's going to go on top. On the very bottom, you're going to put the value of B. Okay? So A times C and B will be there. Now, your job is to figure out two numbers, okay, that multiply to whatever the top number is. Okay, so these multiply to the top number, and these two numbers will also add to the bottom numbers. Okay, now here's the hitch. Yesterday, this is all we did. Okay, if a was equal to 1, then that's all you had to do. But if a is not equal to 1, if it's equal to a 3, a 6, a -5, even a -1, okay, as long as it's not just a positive one, then you're going to have to divide by it. Okay, so for today's lesson, you're going to divide by a. Okay, that's going to be your last step before you do your answer, and you're going to want to simplify and stuff, that way you can clean it up. Okay, and then we'll figure out how to write our answers after that. Okay, but this is the X method with division. All right, so like I said, we're going to do some problems, and these examples will be coming straight from your homework. Okay, so let's try this one out. Example number 1. By the way, these are all going to be factor. Okay, so all of these 3 examples, the instructions are going to be factor. So we have 3p squared minus 7p minus 6. By the way, again, if you guys are walking in, if you just walked in and it looks pretty empty, it is empty in here right now. I'm assuming a lot of kids walk here, and if they do, the rain definitely doesn't help. So example number 1, 3p squared minus 7p minus 6. Okay? Now we're going to do it just like we did yesterday, right? We're going to go ahead and factor this. Now, if you want to do the following, it's up to you. I always like to kind of think about these in my head, but I like to write them down just in case you're wondering where did I get the information. So my A value is a 3, my B value is a -7, and my C value is a -6. Okay? Now, I am going to do the X method. So here we go. Put the X right here. A times C goes on top. So 3 times -6 is -18. Okay? And my B value goes on the bottom, which is a -7. Okay? So now I got to think of two numbers that multiply to -18, but that add up to -7. What two numbers are those? What two numbers multiply to -18 and add to a -7? 2 times 9, all right, so I got a 2 and a 9. One of them, though, has to be negative. The -9, yeah, and the 2 has to be positive. Because since I need a -18 when I multiply, one of them has to be negative. So we said 2 times -9 is -18. That's perfect. 2 plus -9 is -7. So the top is met by multiplication. The bottom is met by addition when I add those two numbers, right? So these are the right answers. But I have to divide by 3, right? Because A is not equal to 1. So I'm going to divide by 3. Divide by 3. Now notice on the left side, a positive 2/3. I can't simplify that anymore, so I am just going to circle it, okay, because that is the correct answer up to this point. But negative 9 over 3, I can actually rewrite that as negative 3. All right, so I simplified it. Now let me write my answer, okay? I'm going to put 2 parentheses. Since my variable is a p, I'm going to put the letter p on both of them right here. The first one is going to be a positive 2/3. The other one is going to be a minus 3. Those things that I circled, right? But remember, you cannot leave your answer with a fraction. So what you got to do is get the denominator, this little piece right here, okay? And you're going to move it to the front, right? You're going to take the bottom up to the front of that p. So your answer is going to be 3p plus 2p minus 3. And this is your solution. By the way, I'm only going to do 2 of these because I want to, today's short period, right? I want to give you guys time to get homework done in class, okay? The stuff we are doing right now, we did yesterday many times, just that. Now we just got to divide. That's the only difference. It's just division, okay? It shouldn't be like, oh my gosh, this is so different. It's just the very end that's a little different, okay? So let me do another problem for you guys from your homework. You have 8 problems on your homework, so you only have 6 to do once we're done. So this is example number 2. So, I don't know, let's try this one. 6m squared plus 21m plus 18. I'm doing this one on purpose because this one requires you to be a little careful before you start, okay? So 6m squared plus 21m plus 18. Now, what's kind of scary about this one? Let me write down my ABCs really quick. 6, 21, 18. What's kind of scary about this one? If I do my X method. If I do this, what am I supposed to multiply? 6 and 18. That's not going to be small, right? That's not going to be a small answer. It's nice when they're small answers because then I can think of factors for them, okay? But this isn't small. So sometimes when the numbers get too big, it's kind of a hint to tell you, well, hey, before you start doing the work, can you factor anything out that they may have in common? A 6, a 21, and an 18? Is there a number that they all have in common? A 3, right? So let me rewrite it. This is 3 on the outside, so this would give me a 2m squared plus 7m plus 6. Is that right? 7, 6, and 2. Yeah. Now, look at this piece right here, because the 3 in the front doesn't matter. It does matter for my answer, but it's not going to matter in my process. Now I just got to think about, 2m squared plus 7m plus 6. So instead of a equals 6, b equals 21, c equals 18, I'm going to say, nope, these don't look good. I'm going to change it to 2, 7, and 6. Okay, so right now I'll clean it up. I'll rewrite it. I'll erase it. But I was able to get away from that 21 and that 18 by factoring, okay? So 2, 7, and 6. And now that looks a lot easier because a times c, that's 12. Before, 6 times 18, that would have been 108. Okay? That's not fun to factor, right? 1 times 108, 2 times 54, 3 times, right? That you're going to have tons of factors. Which one are you going to use? Like, no, I don't want to do that. So let's factor out something they have in common first, and then let's deal with the smaller factor. So 2, 7, and 6. The 7 is going to go right here. What 2 numbers multiply to 12 that add to 7?
3 and 4.
3 and 4. So both positive, right? So positive 3, positive 4. Remember, in yesterday's lesson, right here, I just circled them and everything was great because a was equal to 1. But in this case, a is not equal to 1. A is equal to 2. So I'm going to divide by 2. Now 3 divided by 2, I cannot simplify anymore. I know I can rewrite it as 1.5 or 1.5, but don't do that. Just leave it as 3 over 2. I can't simplify it. But 4 over 2, that's a positive 2. And that's simplified. So let me write my initial answer here. Now remember, there was a 3 to begin with in the very front. So 3, and then I'm going to write 2 parentheses. Okay? Remember, that 3, I'll highlight it for us just in case you go home and you're like, where the heck did he get that from? That came from here. Okay? So that 3 is from right there. Now, to write my answer, it's going to be m value. So m, and then it's going to be plus a 3/2 plus a 2. But remember, no fractions, right? So get that division by 2, and you're going to move it to the front of the m. Okay, so I'll highlight that just to kind of make a point of that there. But you're going to move it to the front of the m. So this is now going to be 3 times 2m plus 3 times m plus 2. And this is going to be your answer. Okay, and that's all I want to do with you guys. I don't want to waste too much more of your time. Again, this has been something we've done before last semester, so it's not like this is brand new, but it's just a quick review. Okay.